USA just changed its politics for Ukraine and Europe. What happens now? Is there a shifting of global power? The world we knew yesterday no longer exists today, and the changes are more than many can comprehend. The political earthquake caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine is still ongoing. We're witnessing this in real time, and honestly, it is difficult to predict what will happen next. This war has already changed our lives in so many ways. Food prices, gas prices, financial markets, inflation. They've all been impacted by this war, but we're not seeing the end of it yet. The main topic of today's video is one that touches on an aspect of the conflict that many may not be discussing at home at their breakfast table, but which could have a huge impact on how this conflict plays out. The US government recently announced a policy shift that has left many scratching their heads in confusion. So why did the United States suddenly decide to pull the plug on its partnership with Ukraine and Europe? What exactly does this mean for the future of the war? And how will it impact the whole of Europe? Will Russia now feel less threatened? Or will the US be seen as having abandoned its allies, leaving them vulnerable to Russian aggression? As we discuss this, we want you to share your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Let's dive right into this tangled web of diplomacy and find out what's really going on. Now, before we begin, we kindly ask you to support our work with a thumbs up. If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe to stay updated with our latest news. Thank you for your support. Can Europe take care of our own defense itself? It seems like the world is full of surprises these days. Who would have thought that a small country like Ukraine could cause such a stir among superpowers like the United States and Germany? After all, Ukraine is just a tiny fish in a big pond compared to the massive military budgets of its more powerful neighbors. But despite its size, Ukraine has managed to make quite the splash, causing some major ripples in the international stage. And let's face it, nobody saw this coming. Who would have guessed that a little Ukraine could shake things up so much? But that's the thing about underdogs. They've got a way of surprising everyone. In recent times, European countries have often found themselves relying on the United States to protect them from harm. However, the times are changing. The US is making it clear that they're not going to be Europe's bodyguard forever. Even NATO, which was set up after World War II to keep the peace in Europe, is now getting a reality check. They're realizing that they might need to rely on themselves a lot more moving forward. But why is the US pulling away? Are they tired of being the hero? Maybe they've had enough of cleaning up the messes of other countries. Or maybe they're just looking out for themselves and their own interests. Whatever the reason, it's time for Europe to grow up and take responsibility for their own actions. It's high time they learn to stand on their own 2 feet and defend themselves without relying on the big, bad bullies. So it's goodbye babysitters. Europe, you're on your own now. Is USA no longer peace guarantee for Europe? The Cold War era is long gone, but the echoes of it still seem to linger in our ears. Back then, the United States and Europe were thick as thieves, always sticking together and watching each other's backs. But these days, things are starting to feel a bit different. The US is pulling back the curtains on its commitment to Europe, leaving many to wonder if the American era of dominance is coming to an end. Could this be the dawn of a new world order, where the US takes a back seat and lets Europe fend for itself? It sounds crazy, but stranger things have happened. Will the US turn its back on Europe, or will it continue to be a steadfast ally? Only time will tell. Germany. You might be wondering, isn't Germany supposed to be leading the charge for a more united and peaceful Europe? Well, yes, that's what they're supposed to be doing. But lately, they've been acting more like a scared little rabbit caught in the headlights. Since World War II, Germany has been all about playing it safe. They shied away from getting involved in conflicts, hoping to steer clear of any more trouble. But now it looks like their pacifist ways might be catching up to them. Instead of taking the lead and showing some backbone, Germany is looking like they'd rather play the victim. They're depending on others to protect them and save the day, while they sit back and twiddle their thumbs. It's not exactly what you'd expect from a country that is supposed to be a role model for peace and unity. But hey, who knows? Maybe Germany has a trick up its sleeve that we're not aware of yet. Time will tell if they can pull through. Can Ukraine withstand without USA help? In the face of adversity, nations often come together to form alliances and partnerships to ensure their collective security and well-being. One such partnership is between Ukraine and the United States, which have formed a strong bond in recent years. However, recent developments have raised concerns about the future of this relationship and what it means for Ukraine's security. Some experts believe that the US government's decision to stop supplying weapons to Ukraine is a sign of waning support and could leave Ukraine vulnerable in the face of Russian aggression. Others argue that Ukraine needs to rely on its own military capabilities and that the US assistance was only a temporary solution. What's certain is that Ukraine's future security will depend on its ability to navigate this complex situation and make strategic decisions that prioritize its national interests. Ukraine, once seen as a beacon of hope for democracy and freedom in Eastern Europe, is now facing a brutal war that threatens its very existence. Despite its valiant efforts to resist the Russian invasion, Ukraine's military resources are dwindling and its people are suffering immensely. With Western support increasingly uncertain, Ukraine's leaders are now faced with the daunting task of finding a way to survive and protect their citizens in the face of overwhelming odds. Some argue that the best course of action is to double down on resistance and continue to fight for freedom and independence. They believe that Ukraine's determination and resilience have already made a significant impact on the international stage, and that continued resistance could lead to ultimate victory. Others, however, argue for a more pragmatic approach. They believe that Ukraine's leaders must do everything in their power to reach a ceasefire agreement with Russia, even if it means making difficult compromises. Proponents of this view argue that ending the war as soon as possible is crucial to minimizing further loss of life and preserving Ukraine's territorial integrity. Ultimately, the decision of how to proceed rests with Ukraine's leaders. They must weigh the risks and benefits of each option carefully and choose a path that aligns with their vision for the future of their country. The weight of this responsibility is immense, but Ukraine's leaders must rise to the occasion and make the tough decisions necessary to protect their people and secure their nation's future. What do you think? How will this affect the future of the war? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching.